Welcome one and all to the lookbook for Marvel Meets DC, Episode 1, Pilot, written and produced by Trey Robinson, owner of Midnight Robin. Marvel Meets DC is a fan-made narrative miniseries running a minimum of 2 episodes long that depicts characters from Marvel and DC comics. As the title suggests, Pilot will be the first episode in the miniseries and will explain how the two exist in the same universe, as well as the challenges that good and evil must overcome. Marvel Meets DC, or MmDC for short, was inspired by Bat in the Sun's YouTube series, Superpower Beatdown, as well as the Marvel Meets DC crossover comics that first appeared in 1976, The Superman vs. The Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 1, and has continued through various comics into the 2000s. The purpose behind making this web series will not be done with the intent of making a profit. Certainly not. Copyright characters will be used. No, there are really 3 motivational driving factors behind making this production. Number 1. It'll help my cast, crew, and myself build our resumes and hopefully act as an influence on at least one of us to move on to bigger and better film productions. Number 2. It'll challenge me in a great many ways for how many hats I'll be wearing. Director of photography, producer, director, art director. Pressure crushes coal or forms a diamond. Let's see what it does to me. And 3. Quite frankly, because I'm a huge superhero geek. It would be a dream to go on and help with the wardrobe on a Marvel film or television series. But even if I never do, I can at least say I was part of something related to the superhero film genre. In the unlikely event that anyone from Marvel or DC, or even Disney or Warner Brothers, do issue a cease and desist, then I'll gladly remove the videos, and at the very least, my team and I learned valuable lessons from the experience that have helped us grow and become better filmmakers. The pilot will consist of 6 scenes and 7 different camera locations. The first will be a dark room inside the House of Mystery, where John Constantine will be casting a spell that mirrors Doctor Strange's spell that will unite the worlds together. Since the room will need to be as dark as possible, seemingly only lit by candlelight, I'm going to need a location that can easily be made pitch black. I'll also need to flood the door with light when Doctor Strange opens it, to exemplify that he's appearing from another world. For this, I believe the Comp Studio would be a very good location to use. The second scene in the script will be the most drawn out and long-winded, for it is a conference of supervillains trying to play nice. It is basically 4 pages of dialogue, which is subject to change, but the location will have to be believable for a conference room. I believe that the best location for this would be the BSU Library, Room 110. It definitely has a conference room feel to it, and even if I am unable to avoid seeing the window when blocking out the scene, the library itself is believable as an office of sorts. The third scene is where things begin to get a little dicey for location scouting, for it's the only scene that will require 2 different locations in the same scene. The scene depicts Red Arrow on a rooftop, scouting out to the supervillain conference, and then a point of view shot as he sees the Kingpin and Bullseye step out of the building. As far as location scouting goes, I think when the camera's on Red Arrow, I will reserve the outside lookout room in the Student Union building, for I've used it once before. The only hard part will be Red Arrow's quiver and prop arrows. I will have to discuss with my production team what they think the best action to take would be. But the point of view location on the other hand will be a bit trickier. I would like to use the education building as the one that they were walking out of, but I'm not sure I'll be able to get access to the Interactive Learning Center's roof, so I'll have to look into that a little bit more thoroughly. Scene 4 will be a fairly simple one. The entire scene takes place in a small personal office. For this scene, I plan on asking one of the comp professors if I can briefly borrow one of their offices. The hard part will be blocking out the scene and fitting the cast and crew inside while filming. I know from personal experience, from when I helped as boom op on Tyler Maynard's capstone projects last semester, from when we all tried to film in Rue's office. Scene 5 will definitely be a lot of fun, because it will be a fight scene, but that is also the very thing that will make it hard. You'll start by using prop weapons, and then transition to only martial arts. The location that I pictured in my mind was the Ashland Park complex by the Boise Hawks Stadium and utilize their parking lot. I'd have to obtain the owner of the complex's permission, of course. If that doesn't work out, however, I do not currently have a backup in mind. The final scene, which will be a post-credit scene, will depict Daredevil getting his suit. I already know that I want to utilize my parents' garage for this scene, for they have a 3-car garage, which will make it easy to block out and light the scene. The only trouble I'll run into is that they have pure white walls, since it's meant to be a darker scene. Since most of my cast and crew will be busy over the course of spring break, I will begin filming the first weekend of April, Friday the 6th through Sunday the 8th. It's my hopes to have the filming knocked out in 1 weekend's time, to accommodate the editing and special effects it will require before finals. That's right, I'll be attributing special effects to some of the supervillains in the conference, but if worse comes to worse, I'll push whatever scenes remain back to the next weekend, but begin editing after the first. The general feel that I wish to portray in this production is a combination of Superpower Beatdown and a typical indie film. To obtain this, My crew and I will utilize the lighting to set the mood on the scenes and the characters, keeping it a casually dark atmosphere. Because the scenes will be done at night and indoors, I do not foresee using a whole lot of practicals on this production. Camera angles will vary from scene to scene depending on the circumstance. The supervillain conference room, for example, will deal with a lot of shot reverse shot, over the shoulder, and two shots. The fight scene, on the other hand, will utilize the handheld or Steadicam applications to keep up with the actions, and will utilize reaction shots and mid shots during the archery scene and dialogue. Most of the scenes will be fairly straightforward. Wide shots to establish locations, medium close-up for monologues, and of course, as previously mentioned, point of view. About 90% of my actors are already cast for this production, as well as most of my crew. I'll utilize my budgets for art department, craft services, and any insurance on unforeseen expenses. The equipment that I will need for this production will primarily be borrowed from the comm department equipment room. A Canon DSLR camera, a tripod, an array lighting kit, a Tascam, unless I'm able to borrow a Zoom H4n, and possibly a handheld Steadicam if I'm able to borrow it from my friend and usual camera operator. I thank you all for your time, and I will now turn it over to myself for questions, comments, and concerns.